Welcome to the Ascension Path with Twin Essence. I'm Lacey.
And I'm Marley, and we're your Starseed Lightworker and Psychic Medium hosts.
We're identical twins with spiritual abilities and Starseed missions on Earth. On the Ascension Path, we discuss what it's like to be identical twins serving in a spiritual capacity and provide insights into our work as Starseeds. We create a sacred space to receive channeled messages, intuitive teachings, and expansive conversations that elevate your frequency and support your evolution. Join us to learn about navigating the path to ascension and becoming the most authentic, aligned version of you. Take what resonates and leave the rest. Let's dive into ascension and its elements. As we've been working with clients on ascension and starseed discovery, all of the work that we do regarding this, we have started to learn that there is a bit of a superiority complex when it comes to ascension. There are people out there that use it as a fear-based tool to make it seem like there's a whole group of humans ascending and the other half are just being left behind and going nowhere. So it's been really interesting to dig into some of these perceptions and where they come from. In our work with Twin Essence, ascension is attainable for everybody. And it's not meant to be a level that you can't get to, as some people are presenting it. It's not about using fear tactics to scare people into doing what you want them to do or to work with you. It's not about being better than someone or spiritually superior. It's something that's about healing, raising your vibration, and preparing for New Earth, and everyone is allowed to come with.
I also think we often refer to ascension as you're still going to be living through duality in the ascension process, right? It's like when people talk about healing being messy, ascension is like that too. It doesn't mean that you're never going to have another negative thing happen to you or another challenge. It's about how you move through these parts of your life and these roadblocks or these challenges or these lessons you face and how you continue to evolve and heal.
I hate to break it to you, but you're still going to have low lows and high highs on the ascension path. You're still going to have days where you're crying on the bathroom floor, and you're still going to have times when you're like, I don't know if I can do it any longer. And you're still going to have times where you didn't think it was possible for you to be receiving what you received, or feeling worthy of where you're going and celebrating where you're going. So it's still going to have high highs and low lows.
I also think one thing my star family is bringing forward is because we talk about ascension as being a next level, but also, as Lacey just said, it's not meant to be this level that you can't get to or that you can't achieve or that you can't reach. In our experience, we view ascension really as a different level, not a different level that you can't achieve, but a different level of healing, a different level of understanding and your purpose and mission.
It's really a deepening of this healing and spiritual journey and path that you're on.
That is something that we would say means we're moving to another level. It means that we are going deeper or we're at a different cycle. But that isn't from a place of superiority. It's not from a place of hierarchy, of us being at a different level looking down at everyone else. That's certainly not what it is. It's about bringing you along.
We do think it's important to share in our experience that ascension is a choice, and souls incarnating on Earth are choosing whether or not they want to move any further and be on certain paths.
As we think about ascension and it being a choice, which is really how our channel experience is presented to us, it's about choosing to be better than you were the day before. It's about choosing to heal yourself further, choosing to raise your vibration, choosing to help Gaia raise her vibration in this lifetime as we look to making that ascension, as we look to transitioning to New Earth.
And the souls that are choosing not to ascend, that's their choice. From our channelings and experiences, these souls look like people that are choosing to leave Earth right now. And some are choosing to repeat their density, and others are choosing to prepare for new Earth. So it doesn't need to be a bad thing. It's a choice that people are choosing to do or not do.
And the choice to repeat third density, as Lacey said, is not a bad thing and it's not a punishment. It's just simply a choice that some souls are making. We all choose when to incarnate, where to incarnate, and it doesn't mean that choosing to ascend automatically is at the expense of any other soul or at the expense of leaving behind someone or leaving behind a family member. Ultimately, it's their path and their choice, just like it's our path and our choice as souls.
Exactly. And I think it's just like any other healing lesson when you're on a spiritual or healing path. Ascension's similar to that. It's all about choice. It's all about what you're choosing to do, how you want to raise your vibration, how you want to heal. And sometimes when we're on these paths, we do outgrow relationships, we do outgrow hobbies, we do outgrow behavior.
Habits.
It's what happens as we ascend. I think the example that comes to me right away is actually about a TV show. And Marley and I used to be faithful watchers of Love Island. We loved Love Island UK, Love Island Australia, Love Island USA. It was a great show to watch. We loved it. And somewhere along our ascension journey, we just couldn't watch it anymore.
It's such a 3D example to give, but honestly, it was such a shift on our journey where all of a sudden, and Lacey and I, we watch reality TV. There's no shame, by the way, in watching Love Island or watching reality TV. I just want to make that very clear. It does not mean you are low vibration or at a different level or are not healed or are not ascending. But for Lacey and I, we really hit this wall on our journey where it was like we were watching it and going about it, and then all of a sudden it was like we could not stand it. Like we could not watch it anymore. We felt like the people weren't being very honest or genuine, and we just couldn't get behind it and watch any more episodes of it. I feel like that was really a 3D representation of how we had shifted in our healing process and our ascension process.
It felt really inauthentic for us, and it sucks because sometimes I look back and I see previews or like clips on social media, and I'm like, oh, I just wish I could go back to those days. But I also don't because I like where I am better right now.
And
And
we've tried, by the way. I feel like we've tried and it's still not in alignment. Doesn't feel right. We can barely make it a couple episodes or a couple minutes in.
so it's really a lesson in letting go of what you need to let go of and being able to let yourself flourish and raise up and remove what's not needed anymore. It's part of ascension, looking at what's out of alignment and letting things go when they're no longer serving you in a positive way or they're no longer serving the person that you're becoming.
We've seen this in other aspects of our life as well as we continue with our ascension process and our healing. Some of them are very small things, small, minute changes in your daily life that really show where you're shifting energetically. I think about diet or food choices that we've made, changes we've had to that. We used to love fruit snacks, and this seems like such a small thing, honestly, but we used to love our fruit snacks since we were kids, and we would still eat them as adults. It was like a treat. It made us feel less guilty, like we weren't eating candy, but instead we were eating fruit snacks, and let's be honest, they're probably the same thing nutritional value wise and the amount of sugar. But we did reach a point where we were like, why are we eating fruit snacks? Not out of needing to feel like an adult, but because Lacey and I have no shame in feeling like we're kids at times. But we couldn't eat it anymore. All of a sudden, we're like, what are we doing? We need to stop. This isn't good for our physical health or our dental health. And I think about that as an energetic shift we went through.
It was, but also it's the same thing with guilty pleasures. There's no such thing as a guilty pleasure. Like, why are you feeling guilty about something that you like to watch or do? I don't get when people have that kind of feeling, But with the fruit snacks, it felt like it was more artificial. And we have had this experience with other foods or brands on our journeys where all of a sudden you'll go from eating a certain type of food and then you're like, I can't eat this anymore. It feels fake. It feels artificial. It doesn't feel nutritionally valuable to me or my body. It's not sustaining me energetically. Fruit snacks is the example, but it has happened with other foods where I'm like, I can't buy this brand of butter anymore because it makes me want to puke if I eat this brand of butter. Same with ranch. It'll be like, I can't eat this ranch anymore. I think it's bad ranch. We got to make our own ranch. So it has led us to creating more opportunity to learn different skills, but also create foods and things that were more natural and sustainable for our energy bodies as we've raised our vibration on our ascension journeys. The other example is products and things like soap. I can't just buy any old soap anymore at the store. I need to buy organic homemade soaps that are made with items that I can withstand.
I think that's a good example. And I reflect on this, and some people are in the 3D are probably like, this just sounds like lifestyle creep. But that is not, in a way, I feel like you could draw that comparison. Is this lifestyle creep or is this ascension? And that's definitely not lifestyle creep. I feel like it is an energetic reaction you're having to trying to live in alignment. And soap is a perfect example again. Looking at the ingredients in it, can my skin withstand this? It's not about being snobby to other brands that use different ingredients. It's just about what makes me feel right. I know Lacey and I hit an energetic block skin-wise where we were getting irritated from other soaps and like our skin was getting irritated, and that's part of pushing us energetically of this doesn't feel good anymore. Look at this reaction we're having physically. And the 3D likely is due to us changing on the 5D level, right? So we made that change, start buying a different brand of soap, start finding organic or small batch soaps that feel better for us. And that has been a game changer for us energetically.
It was the same with deodorant too, where your skin becomes more sensitive and you need to change brands or do something more natural. I also want to make it clear that Ascension doesn't mean you're going to be investing in expensive products and an expensive lifestyle. That's not what I'm endorsing. I'm just saying that these are simply examples and things that we've gone through on our ascension journeys and changes that we've had to make in how we're consuming and using items because that's part of ascension. You look at what you're consuming, and that doesn't just mean what you're putting on your body or putting into your body. It's also what you're consuming in terms of media, social media accounts, TV shows, music, movies. It's also media consumption.
Where are you putting your energy? Get really curious about where you're putting your energy and what you're consuming and how that impacts you energetically, because that does impact your healing process, your ascension process, and of course, your energy. It's like scrolling through social media aimlessly, which we all do this, by the way. I'm not saying we don't do this, we certainly do. But somebody once described that as when you scroll through social media, think of it as you're a fan just blowing air out into the universe, just letting your energy freely blow out into the universe, just giving it away. And that analogy really helped me understand, why am I putting so much into this? Why am I doing this? Like, it's aimless. It's not getting me anywhere energetically. And so it's helped me also balance out the amount of time I spend on social media and better balance out where I need to be more present energetically.
And how things make you feel, right? Like, I don't need to be reading about the latest trial and getting angry about who's not getting justice in the world. It's good to be informed, don't get me wrong, but being careful about where you're putting it, how it's making you feel, and energetically how that's impacting you. Because we've certainly had clients that have come to us who are feeling very drained and tired. And then spirit's like, that's because she be writing letters to politicians all the time. And I'm not saying don't do that. I'm just saying, how is it making you feel? How much energy and time and effort are you putting into certain things? What are you watching? Because they've said, well, she's watching negative news on these things and it's fear tactics and feeding into it. So there's also a little bit of that too. They wanted me to bring that example in.
Really, Ascension has many elements to it that are going to manifest in the 3D and the 5D for you. And we don't like using the term symptom, right? We're saying elements for a reason. If you say symptom, it sounds like it's this negative condition happening to you. As we stated earlier, ascension is a choice, right? You're choosing to be better, choosing to heal, choosing to raise that vibration, just like any other soul right now. And as we gave in our examples, you're going to notice energetic shifts due to ascension and due to your healing process. One thing that we often see through our star families and channeled messages we've received and even sessions with clients is that some individuals change their diet and they look to more of a liquid diet as they ascend and as they are changing energetically and vibrationally. Oftentimes, when they're looking at moving to a liquid diet, they're also looking at eating less meat or choosing not to eat meat at all. That's a choice, right? And I just want to be very clear that diet is going to be very individual to each person's body and to each person's soul and contract. There are some sessions where the client gets an opposite message and it's like the star family saying they should eat more meat or they should better balance what they're eating. I just want to make it clear that this is just an example, that liquid diet is a common theme we see, but whether you're eating meat or not eating meat does not make you further or less along on your ascension path because it is going to be very individualized for you.
Also, the amount of food that you're eating is part of ascension. When we talk liquid diet, we're not saying you should just become a juicer and drink only juice. That's how all your meals should be. And it should only be fruits and vegetables. That's not what we're saying. It just ends up being a more crystalline form and energetic form, and the liquids can help you sustain that energetically. But it's also the amount of food. Like you're not as heavy as you ascend because your vibration's higher. You're not as dense in your 3D body because your vibration and frequency are much higher than your average human off the street. It's like you're not having to eat as much as you used to because of where your energy body is, and the quality of what you're putting into your physical 3D body is helping sustain your higher vibration and frequency now.
This is a spectrum. Just like I said, with eating meat, not eating meat, and it being different for everybody on what their star family or what their guides are telling them, the same thing goes for the amount that you're eating. Like Lacey said, most often your body's becoming lighter, you need less of that physical 3D nutrient to fuel it. I would say in our experience, we go through different cycles. Lacey and I have periods where we don't need a lot to eat. It's almost like we just slough off and don't need as much food for our physical body. And then we go through opposite periods where it is like extreme appetite, and it's because we're doing a lot of processing for the collective. Part of that is probably because of our gifts, right? Being the Starseed light workers, channeling for others, guiding the collective. When we're going through heavy periods of processing, it's going to require more physical energy for our physical body to do that work on a 5D level as well.
And that is part of our charts where we go through these cyclical periods where it's heavier, darker, deeper. And then when we come through that cycle, it's because we're birthing the next phase for the collective and the next offering or the next level, the next energy period and frequency level that we're moving into. The other thing I want to bring up are skincare and hair products. Part of Ascension is looking at what you're putting on your body and what you're consuming, if it's working or how it makes you feel. So we've moved more towards natural skincare and hair products. Sometimes that can be more expensive, but it's what works for our skin, it's what works for our hair, and we don't experience the irritated scalp, the breakouts, the itching and dry skin like we used to. Or we don't have the opposite effect where you have really oily skin and really oily hair. It's like a perfect balance state now. That is something that we've gone through with our ascension path and as we've raised our vibration. That can be an element of ascension. These are the shifts that we're seeing.
Think about that energetic alignment you feel with the products you use. It doesn't mean that you can never use anything with synthetics or that you should immediately stop. Again, how do you feel energetically? What feels good for you? How are you feeling in alignment? Because it's going to change over time. What used to work for Lacey and I does not work for us now. Okay? So that changes over time. Recognize those changes you're seeing in yourself on an energetic level and on that physical level when you make those decisions. There's also some different elements that you'll see with sleeping habits, even thinking about like headaches or fatigue or energy level physically. Oftentimes, as you're looking at ascending, you're likely going to receive more headaches. That's that information coming through the crown. That is a symptom of ascension or something that you experience as you ascend because you are going to be receiving energetic downloads. Your sleep habits could also change. This might look like less sleep because your energy body's changing, your physical body's also changing into a more crystalline, pure light form, so you need less sleep. It could also be more sleep, right? Again, looking at that processing cyclical, being there's periods where you're going to be doing more energetic processing that requires more sleep and more fatigue than periods where you need less sleep. You're just going to wake up one morning at 3 in the morning, like Lacey and I, and all of a sudden you're going to be done for the night. You're going to be like, I don't feel tired. I feel like I'm good. And that I would say is a common thing we see with our ascension process.
Sleep was probably one of the hardest things for us, especially in the beginning, because we didn't understand what was wrong with us. Well, we thought something was wrong with us. We didn't understand why we were waking up so early and then just done for the night and not falling back asleep, not needing as much sleep. The other thing is also being woken up several times a night. That's also part of ascension. It is a response to your physical 3D body needing to be caught up with your energy body because at night we're doing astral work, right? A lot of us that are raising our vibration or doing spiritual work, we're in the astral realm doing things. And we're working with our spirit teams, our star families doing work. So they're doing energy work on you in the 5D at night when your physical body's asleep. And then they got to wake up your 3D body and catch it up. So sometimes it's also about interrupting your sleep at night. There's a spectrum. So sometimes it's more fatigue and tiredness. Other times it's less fatigue and you're more energetic and more motivated. It just depends on where you are with integrating the energies and being able to hold your capacity for the new frequency and vibration that you're moving into during ascension.
If you wake up at 3 in the morning because your spirit team decided to wake you up, that does not mean that you should immediately get up and start doing work, though. That is definitely not the intent of your spirit team. I think I need to make that very clear as well. It does not mean that you should start your day sooner or that you should immediately get up and start doing work or start meditating. I'm just noting that it is something that we commonly experience, and it can be frustrating if you don't understand it, right? Because our 3D minds are trained to think that we need things to be a certain way to function physically, and that might not be true energetically as we're shifting and ascending.
Yeah, it's a conditioning and belief system. Oftentimes, you'll receive a lot of insight from your spirit team during those 3 hours before 6 a.m. So, you might be going on a visual journey, meditating in bed. You might receive more insights into what you're doing. We often wake up and then we're both bursting with information of what we've received in the morning while we're sitting there and integrating things from the night before.
Some other elements of ascension that we've experienced and that others have, these come out in QHHT sessions too from individuals that have Starseed journeys. One of them is seems really simple, but this I know I have experienced is that there's a changing of your eyes and your eyesight, and you're able to look at the sun more directly. Now, I am not condoning going outside and looking at the sun directly to test your level of ascension by any means, but I know there has been days where like I've just been outside and all of a sudden I look up and it's like the sun isn't what it used to be, and I attribute that to ascension. I attribute that to Gaia changing as well. Now, I'm sure there's a scientific explanation. Somebody's going to listen to this and they're going to be like, actually, Marley, it's to do with the something in the atmosphere. And sure, I'll let you have that one. Definitely, if that's what you feel what it is. But I am just sharing my own experiences that I've had, and I know that there are others that I've read about in QHHT sessions that have similar experiences.
Another common thing that we see with ascension is your immune system and changes in your immune system. So, this one's kind of a hard one to explain, but it often has a lot to do with belief and conditioning. You will notice that the things that you used to get sick with, maybe you don't get sick as easier anymore. I notice that mostly with planes because I feel like planes are always like a flying petri dish that you sit on and everyone's hacking and disgusting and it's like full of germs. I used to get pretty sick from being on planes and I thought it was nasty.
Every flight.
It
No.
changed though. It changed where it's like, you know what? I've decided I'm not going to get sick on a plane anymore. And I don't know, it seems to be working fine. With the last flight we were on and all the hacking, like immune system changes in terms of what used to make you sick or how you got sick. Now, there are still physical ailments, right? I'm not saying that as you ascend, you're never going to get any physical ailment. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that you'll notice changes in your health. And the things that used to maybe get your immune system down maybe don't anymore because of your vibration. There's a whole other branch of this that I feel like also has to do with the spiritual meanings behind illnesses and symptoms and physical
Mhm.
ailments. That's a whole different topic, looking at the spiritual meanings behind illnesses or diseases that are developed and formed and caught, and the reasoning behind why things are happening to you. And a lot of that has to do with your connection to your higher self too, to receive information on why that is happening and how to heal it, knowing that you have the power to heal things within you. So I don't want it to seem like it's going to solve everything by raising your vibration, because that's not the case, but it can change things.
Your spirit team is still going to use 3D illnesses to get your attention. But what this really means is you're still going to experience those symptoms or physical ailments too as you're out of alignment or as you're healing something or as you're ignoring something. Oftentimes, those things appear as signs to us that we need to focus on something. Either you're putting too much energy towards something or a lack of energy towards something, or you're working through healing something, and that symptom or that ailment physically is there to draw attention to that. Spirit uses that to show you. And that doesn't mean that's going to go away. If you're continuing to ignore things that you shouldn't be ignoring, they can still use that to get your attention. It's not meant to cause major harm. Some of us have to go through lessons that way, and it's a challenge that we have to go through on our healing journeys.
And sometimes that is literally your higher self just wanting you to slow down and rest. It can have various meanings. We had a situation with someone in our life that was ill and didn't want to go in because it would cost money. Essentially, what it boiled down to was this belief that you don't see yourself as valuable enough to pay for something to help your health. That's what it really boiled down to. So, just looking at your belief systems when it comes to this stuff as well. I just want to have that added in as we talk about the immune system and ascension.
Certainly. As we think about ascension and transitioning to New Earth, we've also heard theories or channeled messages from others that the 3D version of Earth is going to disintegrate and that all of us are then going to move to this 5D version of Earth, this new Earth that we keep talking about. Now, it's still a choice for souls to decide if they want to transition or if they want to exit this lifetime, right? So, thinking about souls can still choose, do I want to repeat third density? Do I want to not do this? Maybe they don't. Others then are going to transition over to New Earth or that 4D, 5D version of Earth. So, it's interesting to hear these different theories as we think about ascension and as we think about how is new earth going to manifest, how is this new earth process going to look for all of us, and everybody has a little bit of different messages.
When we talk about New Earth, it's really referring to Gaia's higher dimensional form. So think 4D or 5D. It's New Earth is becoming a term that a lot of spiritual leaders are using, and that's really what Ascension is about. It's moving into a form to go to New Earth, where you can be on this new version of Earth at a 4D or 5D dimension. It's that higher vibrational level and version of Earth that Gaia is becoming. So, New Earth inhabitants take on a more energetic or crystalline form. This is what we know from our channelings. It's sort of a magical place and really has more of a heaven-like feeling to it from what we've always seen and what they've showed us. And people aren't really working. It's not this masculine 3D structure anymore in society. They're not even eating food because they're in a more crystalline form. Energy just works different and you don't need to fuel it with a 3D form. It's all about existing from a place of unconditional love and connection to one another in this higher dimensional form.
As we shift to New Earth and we look at Ascension and we talk about energetics and how you feel energetically, we think about our experiences of seeing 3D energy versus 5D energy. I shouldn't even say seeing, it's really about experiencing it and really understanding the energetics of these different dimensions and really understanding the energetics of where we are on this earth right now and where we're shifting as we talk about New Earth, we talk about this 4D or 5D level of earth that we're moving towards. We've worked with our star families and we've channeled messages on this before, and they've really helped us through this ascension process learn what this 5D feels like and how it manifests versus what the 3D feels like and how it manifests. The best example I have of how we've learned the energetics of where we are now and what New Earth feels like is through our relationships with others in our life. Really, I think about situations where it has felt like an energetic imbalance, or situations where it has felt like somebody is stealing your power. I put air quotes around that because it is a term we use. It's really an energetic thing when someone's stealing your power, though. And we had a situation where someone in our life was really stealing power from us, really stealing energy from us. They didn't realize this. So this was an unconscious energetic process they were going through. And they were just on this loop, taking energy. And we started to notice it because it was really impacting us when we would talk about cord cutting or trying to clear ourselves energetically. It's like we couldn't get that energy off of us no matter how hard we tried. It became very frustrating. It just felt like this barnacle sucking energy from us that we couldn't remove. So we went through this energetic cord cutting process where we really separated ourselves. We really cut that energy off at that 5D level and said, Spirit, angels, remove this from us. We worked with our star families, of course, as well, removing this. And when we cut that energetic cord on the 5D level, instantaneously, we saw this on the 3D as well, right? So after cutting that on the 5D, this person immediately started reaching out to us on a 3D level. We're getting text messages. We're getting calls. They won't stop reaching out to us on this 3D level. So that became very clear to us how these energetics interact and how they manifest and work, right? If you cut something on the 5D level, this person's going to unconsciously feel it. I say that because this individual I'm talking about wasn't super energetically aware of their energy. And so unconsciously, they just don't know it. So now they're going to reach out to us on the 3D level to try to get energy from us on that 3D level. Time and time again, this has happened in our lives and we've experienced it. And it is the most fascinating energetic experience, I think.
It really shows the tangible proof of doing the 5D energetic work and then seeing what it does in the 3D and how people subconsciously don't realize what they're doing and then respond to it. Or maybe they're getting validation or power from you. It's an energy leak that you have, and they're getting validation from you. And when you pull that back, it's like, where'd that go? And then they reach out to you. It happens a lot. Another example that I can think of to explain 3D and 5D energy is it's also a little bit like manifesting and working on a belief system. So, working on feeling that you're worthy of receiving, or you're open to receiving some financial abundance. 3D and 5D energy explains manifestation in a way.
Mhm.
It's telling the universe I was open to receiving financial abundance, and I gave him a timeline. I was like, this weekend. And we went out to breakfast that weekend. When I came home, never thought anything of it, paid the bill, didn't think anything of it. And I had only been charged $4 on my credit card. It was clearly some mistake on their part with how they ran the card, but that was receiving financial abundance. It was like, look, you got breakfast for $4, and it clearly wasn't $4. So it's working on that belief system and the energetics and the 5D that you have, and then receiving it in the 3D. It's part of manifestation, but it's part of energetics and how we can explain where Earth is moving when it comes to 5D energies.
Get curious about your own energy in this process too. Think about where you're feeling drained, where you're feeling energized. You might need to experiment a little bit with it, right? It goes back to that fan blowing analogy I gave, right? Scrolling through social media aimlessly, like blowing your energy out to the universe. Maybe you need to pull back some more. Maybe you'll feel more energized if you do that. Just looking at those spaces in your life where you can create more alignment and create more of an energetic balance. Also, keeping that in mind with the individuals you interact with, right? So, again, I gave that example of a relationship of someone in our life, and that's where we could really see these different energetic levels interacting. And I guarantee you, if you start noticing these things as well, you'll start noticing where you're working in the 5D versus the 3D.
At the end of the day, ascension is something that's attainable for everyone, and it's an active choice that we make on a daily basis in our journeys. There is nobody being left behind unless they want to be left behind and are choosing that. This is where Gaia is moving. We're ascending. Gaia is becoming more of a 4D and 5D form. It's shifting to New Earth. It's a journey that we're all a part of as humans right now. And some souls are going to choose to stay in third density, and others are going to choose to keep moving. It's something that we're all supposed to be a part of. It's something that's attainable for everyone. And it's really the bulk of the work that we do as collective guides for those looking to further their ascension path. Anyone that's interested in learning more about ascension, New Earth, Starseeds, and our work can certainly visit twinessence.com to learn more about us, as well as follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube.